Hello everyone, this is News Distillate, your go-to place for the latest news updates, where we will give you the most important information without taking up too much of your time. Without further delay, let's dive into the news for today. Hey everyone, it's John Oliver here, and I'm here to tell you about the devastating floods in eastern Congo. The death toll from the floods has nearly doubled and now stands at close to 400 people. That's right, almost 400 people have lost their lives in this tragedy. The flooding began on Thursday evening, when torrential rains caused rivers to break their banks and flash floods swept away the majority of buildings in the villages of Bushushu and Nyamakubi. The administrator of the worst affected area, the Kalehe territory of South Kivu province, said that more bodies were recovered Sunday, including many found floating in Lake Kivu. More than 300 victims have been buried as of Sunday, and it's estimated that thousands of people are still missing. The destruction caused by the flooding has made it difficult for aid workers to reach the affected areas, with two main roads impassable. In response to the tragedy, the Congolese government has declared Monday as a national day of mourning, with flags to fly at half-staff in memory of the victims. A delegation of government officials and lawmakers has been sent to the area to assess the situation and provide assistance. This tragedy is not limited to Congo, however. Heavy rains in recent days have brought misery to thousands in East Africa, including in parts of Uganda and Kenya. In Rwanda, which borders Congo, flooding and landslides have left 129 people dead. It's heartbreaking to think of the devastation that these floods have caused. It's important to remember that these are real people who have lost their lives and that there are thousands of people who are still missing. We must do whatever we can to help those affected by this tragedy. It's a sad day in Ukraine, but there is a glimmer of hope. To honor the victims of the floods in Congo, Ukraine's government declared a moment of silence before announcing the successful interception of the Russian missile. Ukraine recently revealed that they were able to intercept a Russian hypersonic missile headed for their capital, Kyiv. This is the first time that a US-supplied Patriot battery was used to take down a Russian missile, and the first time Ukraine has used the US defense system. The missile was shot down during a nighttime attack on Kyiv earlier this week. The Russian missile, called a Kinzhal, was launched from a MiG-31K aircraft. Ukraine has been able to intercept many Russian missiles in the past, but the Kremlin has been increasing their use of the Kinzhals, which are nicknamed daggers in Russian, in an attempt to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses. The Patriot missile battery arrived in Ukraine last month, and the Ukrainian Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov said last year that his country had first asked the US to supply Patriots in 2021. This is a huge success for Ukraine and a reminder that the US is there to help in times of need. It's a great example of how the US and Ukraine can work together to protect the people of Ukraine from the aggression of the Russian government. Ahoy there, folks. It's time for another edition of Science News. You know, the stuff that makes you go, and whoa. This week, we're talking about our health and why some of us get motion sickness from virtual reality, VR content. We'll also be discussing if we really need to walk 10,000 steps a day and if there's any science behind ice baths. So, why do some people get motion sickness from virtual reality? Well, it's all down to the way our brains process the information we get from our eyes. When we're in a virtual environment, our eyes are telling our brains that we're moving, but our bodies aren't actually moving. This can cause a disconnect between our brains and our bodies, leading to motion sickness. Now, what about walking 10,000 steps a day? Well, it's a good goal to aim for, but it's not necessarily a must. The 10,000 steps a day recommendation is based on research that suggests that this amount of walking can help reduce the risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. So if you're looking to stay healthy, aim for at least 10,000 steps a day. Finally, let's talk about ice baths. Is there any science behind them? Well, yes and no. Ice baths can help reduce inflammation and muscle soreness, but they're not necessarily the best way to do it. Studies have shown that cold water immersion is more effective than ice baths. So if you're looking to reduce inflammation and muscle soreness, cold water immersion is the way to go. So there you have it, folks. That's the latest science news. Remember, if you're looking to stay healthy, aim for at least 10,000 steps a day and consider cold water immersion for reducing inflammation and muscle soreness. Until next time. Today, people are taking more control over their health, whether it's through motion sickness 10,000 steps a day or ice baths to reduce inflammation and muscle soreness. But what about the power dynamics in the labour market? Who has more control, the workers or the employers? The April jobs report added 253,000 jobs, and the unemployment rate stayed the same. To explore this power balance, Aaron Sojourner, a labour economist at the W.E. Upjohn Institute for Employment Research, has created an indicator called the labour leverage ratio. This ratio measures the power between workers and employers. The labour leverage ratio looks at the number of people who voluntarily quit their job and the number of people who were laid off or fired. When more people quit their job, it means that workers have more power. When more people are laid off or fired, it means that employers have more power. Sojourner's research shows that when workers have more power, wages tend to rise. That's because workers can demand higher wages when they have more power. On the other hand, when employers have more power, wages tend to stay the same or even decrease. It's important to understand the power dynamics in the labour market because it affects wages and job security. When workers have more power, wages tend to go up and job security is higher. But when employers have more power, wages tend to stay the same or even decrease and job security is lower. So who's the boss in today's labour market? It depends on the labour leverage ratio. When workers have more power, they can demand higher wages and better job security. But when employers have more power, wages tend to stay the same and job security is lower. It's important to keep an eye on the labour leverage ratio to understand the power dynamics in the labour market. That way, we can make sure that workers are getting the wages and job security they deserve. It's no secret that Elon Musk is a bit of a wild card when it comes to his decisions. His recent Twitter activity has caused quite a stir as he threatened to reassign the @NPR Twitter account to another company. This would mean that the account, which has nearly 9 million followers, would be given to someone else. This is a huge risk, as it could lead to impersonation and damage the reputation of the company. Social media experts are worried about the implications of this threat. Emily Bell, a professor at Columbia Journalism School, said that it could lead to a rapid retreat by media organisations and other brands that don't want to take the risk. Musk has since removed the labels, but the outlets originally targeted have not resumed public activity on Twitter. He asked if NPR was going to start posting again or if he should reassign the account to someone else. He said that there would be no special treatment for NPR and that the same policy applies to all accounts. This is a scary thought for any business operating on Twitter. It seems like you have to agree with Musk's every whim in order to avoid being impersonated. NPR CEO John Lansing has said he lost faith with Twitter, and it's clear why. Musk responded to the story with a joke, saying that NPR should be replaced with National Pumpkin Radio. He also sent an email with the subject line, "You suck," which is a pretty typical response from Musk. It's clear that the power dynamics of the labour market are changing, and Elon Musk's recent social media activity is a perfect example of this. His threat to reassign NPR's Twitter account to another company is a reminder of the risks of impersonation and the importance of job security. It's a good reminder to be careful when it comes to social media, as you never know who might be watching.